More and more people are moving to cities, and that's going to affect almost every industry.
We are very cautious and very aware to make a conscious effort to work with the ecosystem.
What can the average person do to take action now? Not one person can change the world, but if we all do a little something different, it might help.
Being open to embracing innovation.
Know that you can make a difference. Absolutely. There's no excuse not to even do a little bit.
Let's go check it out. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Green Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Welch. And as always, our goal is to bring you leaders in the sustainable, clean tech, renewable energy world. I'm very excited to talk to our guest today, Leland Jordan. He's a man who wears a lot of hats. He's done some amazing things in his life. And I'm really excited to talk to him today about his fund. As the co-founder, he started, it's called the 40 Acres Fund, and just really doing some cool stuff with this. So Leland, first and foremost, thank you for joining us here today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dylan. Appreciate it, man.
So let's dive right into it. Tell me a little bit about the 40 Acres Fund.
Okay, so just a little background, so if people don't know why it's called 40 Acres Fund, right? So after the Civil War, the North and the South were negotiating on how they were going to split things up or whatever, right? And so, well, what was going to happen was every free slave family was supposed to be given 40 acres and a mule to help till the land. Well, at the last second, that was taken away, so that means of, take care of the families and whatnot was taken away. So what we do at 40 Acres Fund is we primarily invest in at the seed level of small businesses founded by minorities. So it's grown from that initial mandate, but our first 5 companies were all minority owned.
That's amazing, man. Seriously. And I love hearing about that stuff. And I love talking about this on the podcast because one thing with green.org, in a world that we live in right now, there's so much divisiveness. There's wars happening. There's pandemics happening. Politics is all over the place. The media is 24/7. And I think one thing, that green.org does is it brings us all together. And regardless of your race, where you stand on the political line, we can all agree that, the world needs to be a better place. There's always room for improvement.
We all live on it. Live on it, right? Yeah.
And that's awesome, man. How did you, let's kind of bring it back to like day one. Tell us a little bit about your background and how this all led to the co-founding of the 40 Acres Fund.
Okay, so my background's mostly in oil and gas supply chain logistics, right? So about 5 years ago, I worked for a company called Smart Sand, and I ran their facility, their frac sand facility in North Dakota. And from there, I went and consulted for Chevron in the Permian, and then COVID hit, right? So I was let go from that like everyone else was, right? And so I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And so a good buddy of mine from Congo, actually, he reached out to me, and he has family in Rwanda, and he's like, hey, they're about to ban single-use plastics in Rwanda. Ever since their civil war, they've been really just putting an emphasis on cleanliness and sustainability and taking care of their country. So they banned all single-use plastics, and so we scrounged together what money we had and bootstrapped the construction of a paper bag factory over there. And so we started production in August of last year. Excuse me. And it's been going great. We're slowly becoming the go-to brand for sustainable packaging in East Africa, really. That's our goal. So right now, everyone's beating a path to our door in Rwanda. We're just trying to keep up. It's a good problem to have, but it's every day. It's every day.
Man, that's cool. It's crazy because obviously with the pandemic, it's a tough time, but I think at the same time, a lot of people who weren't necessarily really happy with what they were doing in their lives took that moment to kind of refigure that out. Like I did the same thing. I know a lot of my friends, my family did. And I think we're now starting to see actually the positive effects of that, a year and a half, 2 years later, of people saying, man, I was working this job that I wasn't very happy at. Life is short. Where do I want to go next? What do I want to do? And what am I passionate about? And then how can I turn that into a business? Because that's also a cool thing is this isn't like something you started locally. This is in Africa. This is a whole other continent. And, you know, you think back, like that's so difficult to do even maybe 5-10 years ago. But now with the capabilities of Zoom, technology, communications, like you can run a business from your home office out of Africa. That is like mind blowing. So,
and it's only going to get better too. I mean, you know, the opportunities for people to start the businesses, especially in this clean energy and sustainability sector, is going to be, you know, it's going to be wide open here soon.
And dude, congratulations on the success too. Like that's probably one of the cooler things I've ever talked about on this podcast is those are very different things to go from working in gas and energy to building a business in Rwanda and a successful one at that. Like that's awesome to hear.
Yeah. It's, you know, so I learned a lot about supply chain working in oil and gas. Right. And at the end of the day, no matter what business you're in, supply chain is just figuring out how to solve problems. And, you know, at first we were getting our paper from Russia. That stopped, obviously. We saw this conflict building up there, and we're like, we gotta get out of Russia, you know. So we now get our paper from next door there in Kenya, and so we're keeping it local. And you know, we like 80% of our clients are using recycled paper too, so that's always great. You know, we're really keeping things as green as possible, and that's something that we, you know, do in all of our portfolio companies with 40 Acres Fund, right? So, like even so, one of our bigger companies in the fund is called Black Marlin Marine, and so we service deep water drilling and whatnot. So I mean, all of our boats that we use are hybrids. You know, we keep everything as green as possible and everything, right? So you know, we're all. I mean, like I said a minute ago, we all have to live on this world, no matter where you stand on politics or where you stand on anything. As long as you're making an effort to make things better, you know, the world's going to end up being a better place.
Exactly. Couldn't say it better myself. So from like a business standpoint, how do you kind of source and find these businesses that you work with? Like, what do you look for as indicators for success to be a part of the companies?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I come across them either from friends or from, you know, LinkedIn. I actually, the first company that we invested in is through a guy that I met on Facebook. I've never actually seen him in person, right? We've been Facebook friends for like 5 years, and we're pretty close friends. You know, I've still never seen him in person, but he has a small catfish farm outside Nigeria. And I'm sorry, outside Lagos, Nigeria. And so, you know, he approached me. He's like, "Hey, I need, you know, X amount of dollars. I think it was like $1,200, right, to build out this oven, so you can start doing the processing of this catfish as well and make extra money." So I'm like, "Cool, man," you know. So I went to Richard, my business partner in 40 Acres Fund, Richard Harris. He's a medical doctor here in Houston, and so I'm like, "Hey, you know, we've been talking about doing this for a while. Here's the opportunity. Let's get it going." He's like, "Cool, I'm in." And so we did it. We sent him the money, and he's doing very well now. You know, so yeah, it's been just stuff like that. Really, just kind of, I come across an opportunity, I talk it over with Richard, and we just go for it.
That's all, dude. I think that's a really good metaphor of kind of like what we're talking about as a whole too, because, you know, sometimes you hear venture capitalism investments and it's like $10 million, $100 million. And at the end of the day, like $100 million is inaccessible to a lot of people, also not sustainable from a business standpoint, but that's also sort of like a metaphor for the planet in general. Like we don't all need $100 million investments or to invest $100 million. $1,200 can drastically improve someone's life. And also, you know, to kind of bring it back to like green.org, like making little changes can have massive effects on, you know, even if it's one or two people or a community, that still matters. You know, that $1,200 could be sitting in a bank account or in a mutual fund and growing 8% or whatever. But at the same time, one, you're investing in a company where obviously you do the due diligence, it's a smart business plan, but also helping, small business owners achieve their dream. And that's where big things happen at the end of the day. So that's amazing that you're able to do that. Where do you kind of see the fund going in the future? Like, what are you passionate about and where do you want to take it?
Well, Richard and I are both equally passionate about this sort of, like what you're just talking about, this sort of notion of impact investing, right? Of not just investing for a substantial return, but investing in companies that have a similar outlook on life that we do, similar, passion for people and improving the environment, improving the world. Um, you know, I think people get too caught up on exactly how much can I make and when. Richard and I are both long-term guys. We look 10, 15 years into the future. I mean, Jacques, my business partner in Primo, the paperback company, we started talking about this in December of 2019, and I just literally today saw my first dime back from it. Like, not much, just a little bit, right? I mean, and it takes a long time to get these things going. And it takes a long time to get your money back, but if it's done properly, and I have to believe that, if something feels good in my heart and it looks good, from a economic standpoint, it's going to win.
Honestly, what's crazy in like the world we live in, everything is so fast paced. It's so now, you're on your phone, notification, your business, your career, you want everything to happen, right away. And you bring up a really good point where sometimes, I personally forget to do this, but think long-term, like, okay, it's not about today. It's not about the next minute or 5 minutes. Where are things going to be going in 5, 10 years? And when you're able to kind of pull yourself out of that situation and sort of look down from that 30,000 feet, that's where you really can, see where things will be happening. And I'm sure, you invested 3 years ago. If you looked at it on a day-to-day basis, you're like, shit, my money's gone. Where's my return? Where's my return? But then you look at it, 10, 15 years down the line, and those 3 years are, just a little fraction of that. And pretty soon, well, not pretty soon, you're starting to get that return. So
it's also, it's also a matter of how much you want to work too. Cause I mean, like, yeah, I do this 40 hours a week, but I still bartend, man. I still do things to pay the bills, because, I still have to eat, right? So, I mean, I'm not getting return and dividends from these businesses right now, but I mean, I work 80, 90 hours a week, between other things and then and then 40 acres, right? So, it's all about the grind. It's, finding that work-life balance, obviously, but now when I'm still young and I don't have a wife and kids or anything like that, now's the time to really put in that work so that later on, those trees will bear fruit.
Exactly. And that's a really important point too, is when you're looking at things 10, 15 years down the line, you see what's going to come, but it doesn't happen naturally. That's where the day-to-day hustle of getting, okay, I need to do this, and this. I need to survive. I need to make money to pay my bills, but also you're building something on top of that so that those visions and that dream 10 years down the line comes to fruition. So I love that. That's a really good, like, kind of just sort of mental state to be in at all times, is you're never settling. You're always working hard, but also you're thinking big picture. You're thinking the future. And like in nature, that's kind of a good metaphor as well. Just, you don't plant a tree and it gives you shade right away. It takes time to grow, but then, you plant that forest and 10, 15 years, you've got, a whole empire working for you. That's awesome. Where do you kind of see, your vision for this in the next 10, 15 years, both for 40 Acres Fund, for you, and really kind of like the industry as a whole?
Well, I see a lot more companies like 40 Acres popping up, honestly. I think people are really starting to see the need to invest in the kind of companies that we're investing in. And I'm hoping that the success of 40 Acres will inspire those companies to be more. I hope they come to us for guidance. I hope they, I would love nothing more than to help, mentor someone in 10 years trying to do what I'm doing right now. There's nothing I'd love more than that, because like I said, man, we're not going to make this world a better place by ourselves. We have to help each other out. And there's nothing that I would love more than that, to have the freedom to do so as well. I really feel that the companies that we've invested in right now are all going to be very large in 10 years. And I just want to be able to pay it forward, really.
That's super cool. And you're in such a good spot right now too, because like we were talking about, right now, so many things are changing so quickly just from post-pandemic. So many more people, like we're talking about, are starting their own businesses. They have the tools and they want to start businesses or go into a career that they're passionate about. So you have kind of like that head start of saying, okay, in my network on LinkedIn or Facebook, hey, I see you're starting a business. That's really cool. Do you need any help with that? And then, combining that with the minority owners, like just spreading sort of that positivity, helping each other out, everyone lifting each other up. When all the dust settles of all the crazy things that are happening right now, I think, you're going to be helping a lot of people, not just these businesses, but also the impact that these businesses will have on their communities around the world. I think I'm really excited to watch this continue to grow. Where do you want to send people? Because I'm sure there's people listening and watching right now that want to get involved. How can the audience of the Green Podcast and, the fans of green.org support you?
Well, right now, so the website for 40 Acres Run is being built as we speak. Right now, just find me on LinkedIn. I connect with anybody that's not trying to sell me coaching services or something like that. Just find me on LinkedIn, Leland Jordan. Send me a request. I'll accept it. We'll talk. Seriously, I'd love to talk to anybody that's trying to just do anything that's interesting or helpful or anything. Just hit me up.
Leland, man, thank you for being on the show. These go quick because I like to get right to the point of kind of what people like you are working on, but it's super cool to hear and learn. And I'm excited to watch kind of the growth and the continuation of everything that's going on. Let's get you back on the show, even like every 6 months or a year, whatever it is, because it sounds like things are moving very quick, especially in the startup phase, where with the companies you're working on. I love kind of like following the journey as well. So thank you for being on the show, taking some time. Little background really quick too, for everyone listening and watching. We got connected a while ago and we've been trying to coordinate getting Leland on the show. I was doing a bunch of traveling and just kind of like never lined up. I literally got back from South America yesterday and I was like, yo, Leland, let's get this on the calendar. So I owe Leland a major thank you for the patience that he's had with me to get all this together. So thank you very much.
All right, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Loving everything you guys are doing at green.org and looking forward to talking to you again.
Awesome. Thank you, Leland. Thank you to everyone who tunes into the show, who watches, who listens, who shares our content. Again, our goal is to bring you fun, interesting, cool, inspiring leaders in the sustainability, clean tech, renewable energy, finance, lifestyle world. I think Leland's a really good example of that. If you're interested in supporting Leland or doing anything, to get involved, LinkedIn, find him, Leland Jordan. I'll also have his his name spelled out in the description of the show. So again, thank you. And we appreciate your support and we'll see you on the next episode of the Green Podcast.
All right. Thanks, Dylan. Take care, bud.
Thank you.